business tips to successfully start and run your business so your business doesn't run you. And more importantly, we provide personal development tools to create a better version of yourself to provide the solid foundation for your life and business to stand upon. This is the Biz Reveal, and I'm your host, Craig Sawyer. This week's episode is sponsored by Sawyer Health Solutions. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us. Get your free health insurance quote at SawyerHealthSolutions.com. With trust becoming the most important currency in the new economy, Ari Galper explains how to shift from the de-humanizing process of endlessly chasing potential customers to anchoring your business in the timeless values of integrity and trust. Ari believes that you lose the sale not because you haven't demonstrated value, but because you haven't created enough trust, and walks us through the tips to help you gain that trust with your customers. After the show, learn more at www.unlockthegame.com. This is the Biz Reveal podcast with this week's guest, Ari Galper.
So I was a sales manager in a software company before I came out here, and we launched the first online website tracking software tools for analytics on websites. It's now called Google Analytics, but back then it's actually free now. It used to cost money back then. And we fast-growing business, internet's taken off. Everyone's like, oh, how do I track my website? And so I was managing 18 people underneath me, sales reps. And I got the large accounts that came my way, a lot of leads. And so one came across my desk, big opportunity. You'd recognize the name. And I called the guy back. We had a nice conversation. He agreed to a demo and a conference call to see what we do. And so the day finally came. It was such a big opportunity. If I close this one sale, it would double the revenue of the company in one opportunity. Wow. That's how big it was. It's pretty huge. So I got the high fives in the office in that morning, like, Ari, good luck. And so I went in the conference room with my boss, my CEO, and a closed door behind us, closed the blinds so I wouldn't see anybody. And then there was a big, conference table in the middle of the room, and on the table was a speakerphone, the ones with the 3 legs on it, like the spaceship ones, the corporate ones. So I dialed the number that he gave me. He picks it up, and I say, "Hey, how's it going? Good. We had a quick chat." And he says to me, "Ari, let us tell you who's with us in the room today." I was like, "Oh, okay." Didn't know anyone was there. Next thing I hear is, "My name is Mike. I'm CEO." I was like, "Wow, CEO of the whole company. This is good." My name is Julia. I'm head of marketing. Oh, this is even better. My name is Mike. I'm head of IT. Oh, it's like everybody on this call was basically a decision maker. Right. Like, this is a call you hope it gets often as possible, right? In the sales game. So then I introduced myself and began to give them a live demo of their website that we tracked in advance to show them the live stats that we collected of their visitors going back and forth. And so I was showing this to them on the call, and I started this noise on the phone call, like, wow, this is great. This is amazing. I can't believe we can see it. This is like early days, this is like real time. And they started asking me all kinds of questions. How does it work? How do we install it? What's the technology? I had all the answers. I was competent. I was friendly. And there was so much chemistry on this phone call. It was like a love fest on the phone. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've had a few of those.
Client, it's just all happening, no resistance, just flowing. You're saying to yourself, man,
this is too easy.
This is how every conversation should be. Like, and I had the books at home from the sales gurus, like you probably had, the CDs in my car. I watched the videos, went to the seminars. I was a good student of selling, and I was answering objection, building rapport, building relationships, and it was just awesome. And I got the high five from my boss. I'm on my shoulder over. He's like, nice job. He's on his phone calling for the next car he wants to get with the bonus money that he's already got planned for it and everything. And then the call goes by, an hour goes by. My contact's like, Ari, we love it. This is great. Give us a call in a couple of weeks, follow up with us, and we'll move this thing forward. I said to myself, oh, thank you, God. Like, this could not be more beautiful. So I said my goodbyes. I took my arm and I reached for the phone in the middle of the table to hit the off button. As I'm reaching for the off button, by complete accident, now it's a divine intervention, my thumb hit the mute button instead of the off button. They were like right next to each other. And I hit it by accident. A small click happened, and they thought I hung up the phone.
So you get to hear their conversation.
In that split second, a voice inside of me said, Ari, go to the dark side. Be a fly in the wall.
Right.
Go where no one's ever gone before in the world of selling.
Right.
And I was like, well, should I know? The angel's like, don't do it. The devil's like, come on, just do it. So, anyway, the devil won that battle. I pulled my thumb back just for a couple of seconds. They started talking amongst themselves, thinking I had left the call.
Mm-hmm.
So what might you, this is not a trick question, but what might you expect anyone reasonably to expect them to be saying after a call like that? What would you guess they probably would say?
I would say that they're either going to say the things that they really liked, or it's going to be the complete opposite. Like, yeah, I don't know. Let's just see if he calls back.
Right. So let me tell you what they said verbatim, word for word. I'll never forget it. It's why we're here today. What they said was this. They said, we're not going to go with him. Keep using him for more information and make sure we shop someplace else cheaper.
No kidding.
Knife and heart twist. I was in a state of shock.
Yep.
I literally was like a ghost, and I kind of snapped out of it, hit the off button. I looked at the wall and I said to myself, what did I do wrong? I was competent. I was professional. I was personable, but I did everything in the sales books and training in CDs I've been taught over the years. I did everything right. And I asked myself, why? Then I had this big epiphany, and I realized this moment, you can tell me what you think about this. I realized that somewhere along the way, it has become socially acceptable not to tell the truth to people who sell.
Mm-hmm. No, right? I agree, because I find the same thing. I'm in sales, and people they don't really want to hurt your feelings. So I think sometimes they'll lead you on, like in your case, they're like, oh, just grab some information. The guy's nice. He's going to volunteer. And he thinks he's getting the sale. Let's just get as much from him as we can.
Yeah.
Because this is so much easier than just saying no. It's okay to say things like, sounds good.
Yeah. Send me information. Oh, we're definitely interested. Mm-hmm. Send me a proposal.
Right.
Without any intention at all of buying. Mm-hmm. And I realized, man, that is so dysfunctional. That is so painful, dehumanizing, to have to put us in a situation where we're being lied to and rejected in that direct way. Then I asked myself, and I realized at that moment, why were they afraid to just tell me the truth? Why all this game going on here? It's going on in this whole industry. And I realized, and that was the big moment I had, that there is an invisible kind of river of pressure that flows underneath every conversation you have with somebody pre-sale. Now, it's invisible, but they can feel it and you can feel it. But if you don't consciously remove the pressure from the sales process with someone, they will always feel comfortable holding back from you and not telling you the truth. And that's when I invented my whole unlock the game kind of trust-based approach mindset, where the whole concept is your goal is no longer to focus on the end goal of the sale anymore. The goal is to shift your thinking to focus only on deep trust building, authenticity, and creating this bubble of vulnerability with them so they feel comfortable telling you where they stand every step of the way. So you're no longer chasing ghosts, no longer guessing, and not playing the numbers game anymore. And that became a whole revolution for the last 20 years. Thousands of people and those lives have changed around that concept.
And I know we're going to get into the different methods and the skills involved in doing that. But just because we're talking about that story right now, it just brings a question to my mind is, do you kind of flip the script on them and say, hey, you know what? I'm aware, this is what the typical answer is going to be. So before we even get there, and then you just kind of bring that up to them, look, if this is not what you're looking for, I just want you to tell me this, can you put that out there? Is it okay to put that out there and just kind of make sure that you attack what because there's very common problems in sales, right? The very common things, like you said, is, send me the information, send me the proposal. I'll think about it. Let me talk to my spouse, right? You have those typical responses that you're always going to get that, is just a stall out tactic because you haven't either convinced them that this is going to fix their problem, or you haven't gained that trust and they need something else to feel that trust. Can you attack that beforehand?
Absolutely. That's what we're talking about today.
Awesome.
We'll be talking about going into the conversation, into your process, assuming they're not a fit.
Okay. Because the majority of them are not going to be, right? And you want to weed that out, and you want to find that out sooner than later, not after you've spent, weeks or months talking to them.
Well, my whole contention to talk about today is I believe in this day and age now the sale is not lost anymore at the beginning of the process. At the end, it's lost at the beginning, not the close. It's lost at the open. We'll talk about that too.
Yes. In fact, my first question, because I like starting at the beginning. Weird. I know I'm an odd guy that way. So being in sales, I've done my share of cold calls, although I absolutely hate it. So I've tried to find other ways to do my sales. But in cold calling, I believe the statistic is you have 6 seconds to grab somebody's attention to keep them on the phone so you can actually talk to them about what you called for. If that's the case, in that 6 seconds, how do you find the time or a way to grab their attention, tell them what you're calling for and who you are, and already start building that trust process? Is that possible?
You do none of that in my world.
Great. Take me to your world.
There's no timer. There's no intro. There's no squeezing in 3 seconds to get there. All that is gone.
Okay.
I'm going to throw a bomb right now, and I love that question. But that's a very common question I get because that frame of reference is this concept of you squeezing in time to get their attention. So our model is that we create a two-way conversation and hello. We don't try and get their attention to get them to shift over. So here's kind of how we approach it. The call begins with, hi, my name's Ari, and I'm hoping you can help me out for a moment.
Okay.
Now, just add a role play for a second.
Okay.
If you heard that from somebody,
Mm-hmm.
what would be your natural reaction to that with an instinct? What would you just say without even thinking if you heard that from
I'd
somebody?
probably say, and how would I do that?
You'd probably say, how can I help you?
Yeah.
What you just did
Mm-hmm.
in your own way. That's called a two-way dialogue at hello.
Because now they're asking for your help.
There's no where I'm from. There's no what I do. Because if you go in, hi, my name is, I'm with, we are a,
That's
it's
a sales
over at
call.
hello.
Click. Yeah.
It's over at hello.
Yeah.
That's what everyone's making that because people have been trained the old way, brainwashed to believe their jobs to jam themselves in 6 seconds, close their eyes, and hope they get their attention.
Right.
Good luck with that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we're doing that, and I found that, when I call people, I try to make it a warm call whenever possible, right? I mean, nobody wants to do a cold call completely cold. However, in health insurance sales, I try to warm them up first. I meet them somewhere else, LinkedIn, social media, some way that it's already sort of warm. I know they're at least somewhat interested in what I have to offer. I'm not completely blindly. Actually, when I first contact, I guess I am, because if I'm introducing myself on LinkedIn, that is cold. But when you get on the phone, what I've trained my agents is, whether it's a cold call or a warm call, treat it like you would a warm call. Because if you notice people's tone of voice and everything when they're a salesperson and they're calling somebody that they already have talked to for a minute or two, or that person reached out to them to ask for that help, their tone that they use is so much different, so much friendlier, and they're not as timid as if it was a cold call. Why wouldn't you just do a cold call and that same friendly, hey, it's Craig, how you doing? Yeah, I'm just giving you a call back on, whatever the case is, and being friendly and not, pushing that salesy thing. So take me through the steps. What's step one? What's the first thing that we should look at?
Well, I think what we'll do first is deal with the myths, the sales myths that are in the
let's
back
burn them all.
in the back of the mental hard drive, wedged down back here, that all of us have over the years from the old gurus.
Yep.
That we have to detox from to clear the hard drive out before we can enter some new stuff in there.
Perfect.
But I think one of the key myths is this idea, and you heard this before, I'm sure, that sales is a numbers game.
I hear it every day.
And I'll challenge whoever you're hearing that from, because I believe in this day and age now, things have changed. It's not about how many contacts you make anymore. It's about how good you are at trust building on every conversation, not how many contacts you make anymore. And number two is this idea the sale is lost at the end of the process. I'm sure you've had a deal pending in the past where it all looked good, every box was checked, waiting for the agreement, and all just drops off at the end. You're like, what the heck? They were like perfect. What the? So we discovered in our research that the sale is not lost anymore at the end of the process like we thought it was. It's lost in the beginning. I'll make the case for that today. And the third one is a real big deal. That's the idea that rejection is part of the sales game. right? If you can't take a no, if you're not tough enough, if you don't have thick skin, you're a wimp. You're not made for success. You're not made. Get back out there. That's the old sales manager who, that guy who got beat up over the years. You know what? If you can't take a punch, you're not made for success. You're not made for sales success. That's the old school guy who just got beat up all the time. So we discovered, believe it or not, that rejection actually is triggered by certain things you say and do unconsciously that cause the other person to put their wall up, you hit that resistance, and then you get dehumanized. And we'll walk through those triggers today, which will probably blow away your listeners, I think, and have some fun with that.
Okay, so let's do it. So we got the myths, and I'm writing these down as we go. So if you see me looking down, I'm not.
That's cool.
I'm not blocking you out. I'm taking tips. So with these myths, I'm not sure where we should start with this. You have that plan together. So where's the beginning? Where do we actually start with this? First, we know what the myths are. We got to beat them up.
Well, let's start with it. So I've developed my own, what I call trust-based languaging.
Okay.
Not scripting, but words and phrases to use that essentially build that trust immediately with people at hello. That breaks the game apart. Let's do an example right now.
Okay.
Let's do a scenario that you can relate to. I'm sure all your listeners can, to make it real for you guys. So let's say you're on let's say you're having a first call with someone over the phone. Good conversation. They're fairly qualified. Good opportunity. You can tell it could be something good for you and for them. And all looks good. And a call kind of comes towards the end of a call. What's a normal thing we're taught to do in selling at the end of a call like that? We're supposed to do what? Move them where?
You want to get them. Well, we always ask for the sale, right? You want to get them on the sale and move them forward.
Yeah. We're programmed and conditioned when we sense an opportunity to move somebody where?
Never let them
forward.
Leave. Yeah.
Hey, how about we get a cup of coffee? How about we have a conversation? How about we do? See, that's what our conditioning is to do. But what happens if you try and move them forward and they aren't ready yet? What do you break right there at hello in your process? You break trust with them because they aren't ready yet. But we're so programmed. When we sense an opportunity to move them forward, if we do it prematurely, we break it right there at the beginning of the process. So same scenario, our approach, okay? Call is going well, good quality, could be a good lead, call comes through, and rather than saying, hey, how about we get together? How about we move forward? What we say instead is this. We say, where do you think we should go from here? And I'll say it again. Where do you think we should go from here?
So you're letting them walk you instead of you walking them.
Now, how does that change the dynamic of the moment? When you say to somebody, where do you think we should go from here?
It gives them power because people don't like to be sold, but they absolutely love to buy. So it gives them the power. Now, that being said, and I know that other listeners, because sales folks, we tend to be a little pessimistic. We're like, oh yeah, this guy's full of it, right? That's not how it really works. If I really ask somebody that question, they're going to see, well, really right now, I'd just like, why don't you just send me the information that we talked about, and that way I can look it over.
Usually,
give them that opening to kind of.
Usually, when you say to them, "Where do you think we should go from here?" they're usually in a state
of shock.
Shock. Are you kidding me? So I've never heard anybody in selling ever ask them that question.
So would they just come back most likely to say, well, kind of like a question similar to like, what are my options? Are they coming back with the question typically?
They usually say, I've got one more question.
Okay.
Or what about all of a sudden, it comes out? The truth.
Mm-hmm.
The truth comes out in the beginning of your process and not the end when it's too late. That's the power of trust-based languaging. It provides a bubble of vulnerability and trust. And the languaging tells them, you're here for them. You let go of the sale. You're about them right now, and you care about them. You don't care whether it's a yes or no. What you care about is them. And that's the power of this approach, because it's not scripted, it's not fake, and it doesn't have a hidden agenda.
So I'm gonna put this in a real life scenario here. Because it makes it easier for me to put this in a situation. So again, I'm in health insurance sales.
Sure.
And the health insurance plans that I offer are medically underwritten. So you have to apply for them. We have to ask all the medical questions, all that good fun stuff, right?
Sure.
So typically in the way that I was trained, and again, I'm sure this is old school as we were talking about, once you go through the explanation of the plan and how it works and what it means for them in different situations, and you go through that whole thing, hopefully well, and built the trust during that process, we have been trained at the end of that call to say, okay, so here's what we need to do next. The next step is going to be to get the application submitted so we can make sure we can get you approved. So that's what you were talking about, where, we're telling them, okay, here's what we're going to do. Should I then maybe be replacing that with, here's what our process is. If you would like to move forward, what would you like to do?
Stop all that. Stop all of that.
Wow.
You're making assumptions. You're jumping into their headspace and pulling them forward without giving them a chance to breathe.
Because our training is to do the assumptive sale. You always want to assume that you have what they want. So that's what we've been trained.
Your training should be trust building only, not selling.
Okay. So how do I replace that? I got to replace the thinking first of all, but then how do I replace it in the process?
You say, where would you like to go from here?
Okay. When you're self-employed, whether as an independent contractor or a business owner, when it comes to health insurance, you're on your own. Health insurance for the self-employed individual is imperative. When you get sick or injured, you aren't working and you don't get sick days. You may end up facing staggering medical expenses and loss of income. Health risks and uncertainties are a part of life. You can't always plan when you get sick, but you can be prepared for the financial aspect. The best way to be prepared against uncertain health risks is with the right health insurance plan. Call Sawyer Health Solutions today for your free consultation and quote. Allow us to put a plan together that makes sense for your situation. Call 239-677-9877 or go to our website at sawyerhealthsolutions.com. Protecting what's important to you is what's important to us.
And you wait patiently. You don't jump in. That's the challenge. Is that
awkward
we're
silence.
So wired. See, we're on the edge every. Oh God, I gotta get the next step. The next step. The next step. They can sense that tension from. They can tell you're not being authentic. You're carrying a sales armor on. You're being someone else. You're not who you really are, and they can sense that they're being pulled down a linear model they hate anyways. That's why they're not gelling with you. Now they're being nice to you. You can tell they're being nice, but deep down inside, they're saying to themselves, man, this is a freaking sales process I don't like. So if you say to them, where would you like to go from here? Watch what happens. When they say to you, well, can we move forward? Then fine, move forward. But you got to get the truth of what's on their mind at that moment. Otherwise, you're going to get jammed up at the end. Believe me, you're going to go, what happened?
And if they're unsure, they're going to ask you, what they're unsure about, because they'll maybe just ask you, well, what is the process if we move forward? And then you can kind of go into that.
Exactly. Ask permission first before your next step.
Okay. So the key is to be actually more passive and less aggressive and allow them an opportunity to share with you and open up what their concerns are, what their questions are, rather than
it's less sold. About being passive. It's more about being a good listener and an active listener and making sure they're 100% comfortable every micro step of the way.
Okay.
They got to own it. They got to own that they want this, that they want to get it. They can't be pulled down a process what they're not really sure about. Because you know what? The funny thing about it is they really don't care about your solution. What they care about is if you're the one to provide the solution to them. They're asking themselves the whole time, do I trust him? Do I trust him? They're not like calculating the processes of the insurance, whatever the matrix is.
Sure. They're
not qualified to judge your solution. They're not the expert. You are. So here we are explaining the process and the procedure. And then they're like, oh, Jesus, I just want someone to help me solve my problem.
And make it simple. Now, do you adjust any of the questions or the way that you ask the questions? Because again, you said active listening, which I want to make sure that is stressed, not just listening and still going about your scripts or your normal process that you always go through. Active listening and solving the specific questions or solving the specific question or problems that particular customer has. But sometimes you'll have a analytical customer, or you'll have somebody who's a lot more passive and they know absolutely nothing at all about what you're talking about. They just want it done and go on their way.
Right.
Do you still handle each one of those the same way, or do you have to sort of kind of mold the way that you ask the questions or the types of questions that you ask according to that type of customer?
To the customer.
Okay. So you can use that question regardless of what type of personality that customer may have.
Always stay present. Always remove your agenda and always make sure they're okay every step of the way.
Okay. After that
it's
question
too much work.
Yeah, it is.
To adapt to people.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, and you're trying to adapt because you want them to know that you're adapting to them, that you're not streamlined and just doing the same process for everybody. They are special, and you should notice that, they have a different type of personality. Some people have zero sense of humor, right? So you don't want to joke around with them on the phone. Other people are very loose, and you do. So you adapt to them in that sense. But as far as the way that you handle the structure of the call, you still want to handle the structure the same way.
Now, what you just brought up is interesting. You just brought up this whole thing about humor, non-humor, rapport, this.
Mm-hmm.
Our whole take on this process is that your job is not to build a relationship with them at all pre-sale. Trust only, not rapport building, not comedy, not being friendly, not fake relationships. That's the problem. People know it's not real anyways. I believe that trust is mutually exclusive from relationships. You don't have to have a relationship with someone to build trust with them. That's the old school way of, hey, let's have a cup of coffee, let's go golfing. Hey, how's it going? Hey, isn't that fun? See, that's all fake. They know it. They don't even know who you are. And here we are trying to build rapport with them. All you have to do is focus on trust building only. Relationships happen after the sale, not before the sale. It's too compressed of a process to try and become their friend in the pre-sale model. It's fake anyways.
You're killing me because this goes against everything. And again, I'm in sales, and I'm sure you get this a lot. This goes against everything I've ever been told. Literally everything, that you want to try to build a relationship that people buy from people they like. And so you would try to find something that
they buy from people they trust, not that they like.
So
let me give you an example.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's that difference?
Let me give you a metaphor, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This is a doctor-patient relationship. All right. When they got a problem, right? You're the doctor, fix it. When you go to see your doctor, they say, hey, how's it going? Yeah, I got a good joke for you, by the way. Hey, I love your haircut. It's great. Doctors don't build rapport with you. Okay? Doctors don't have coffee either with you. They don't go on LinkedIn and connect with you and say, hey, let's have a chat on Zoom. That's all 1980s. Okay? The doctors say, where does it hurt? And you say, my shoulder, right around there. He says, let me take a look. Hey, right there. Ah, yeah. Oh, man. I think we got to get an x-ray and we got an MRI and make sure I understand where it's going on, because I can't prescribe to you any solution until I figure out what the problem is. And now you're complying with the process. You say, okay, that sounds good, doc. And so once they identify the core problem, he writes your prescription for the medicine, right? Whatever it is. And then when you walk out of his office, you go one more place before you go to your car. You know where you go before you go to your car?
No.
You go pay. You pay at the front desk, but
that's the part I choose to forget.
Right, but keep in mind you've paid him before the problem was solved. You only paid him to diagnose the problem. So what I'm suggesting is a metaphor here, and I use that metaphor a lot, is that you got to extract out the bullshit rapport building that's fake anyways, and just be present with them, focus in on their issues, unpack their issues, so they say to themselves, man, this guy just gets me. He understands my world. He's something about him. He's not trying to sell me things, not trying to push me. He sounds like a normal person. I like him. He feels comfortable with me. I don't care what he's going to offer me. I don't care what his plans are. I just like him. He's my guy. That's the moment of deep trust you have to architect and create and strip out everything you learned from the last 20 years.
And should that all stay on a professional and skill level then?
What do you mean?
Well, in the sense of the analogy you use with the doctor, and I love that because it does pretty, as soon as you said doctor, I lean back, right? Because I'm like, okay, he's right. You instantly trust your doctor, but it is easier to have a little bit of a faster or sometimes even instant trust when somebody has the word doctor or MD after the name, right? Or, anytime I go to the airport, I instantly trust the pilot's going to get me to the destination I want to go to, and I've never even met the person. So there's certain things where you're automatically going to have that trust. But if you're, somebody selling insurance or somebody selling, vacuums, whatever the case is. Now we're really going back to the 50s.
So what you're trying to tell me right now, what you're trying to say is they have the assets, the trust assets, the jacket, the uniform that tells the person right away they're an authority. And you're saying, I don't have that because I'm just one guy selling insurance. Well, the replacement for you or other people in sales right now who don't have that physical identification of being an authority, you replace that with stripping out everything you're doing that says I'm a sales guy. That makes you a trustworthy authority by not selling. Because now you become someone who's real.
And if you're not authentic. Selling, is the replacement? And I'm with you 100% on that part because I hate salespeople, and I am one. I don't like salespeople because of the sales tactics. I like people. Like I try to run my business by providing information, and if I have the information that fits your needs, then great. I'm happy to offer you something that I have, for sale. One of my products. If not, you're leaving that call with more information than you came in. I've done my job. I've made somebody happy, and hopefully I've gained trust in the process.
I'll challenge you on that too, because what you're doing right there, as I'm hearing you carefully, is you're educating and giving value as a way for you to feel whole.
As a way for
me, no matter what happens.
That's actually my tactic in trying to build trust from people is to provide the knowledge that I have.
Correct. So everyone right now in the world is doing that. They're all giving out information, doing free consulting, free education, giving education as a way to build trust.
Okay.
So I'm going to suggest to you, here's a bomb coming. You ready for this one?
I'd like the bombs. Keep bringing bombs.
I'm going to suggest you stop building value with people. Stop educating people. They don't need more information. The internet's full of that already. And everyone else doing the same thing, education. And then they say, want to think about it. Replace building value instead with providing clarity. Provide them clarity on their issues and how best to solve their problem. They really don't care about your education. They don't care about all the options that are available with insurance. They don't care about the payment plans. They don't care about the coverage and the deductibles. All that is gobbledygook in their brain. That's not the world they live in. You live in it. Your world that's your world. So you can't wait to educate everyone you can about what you know, because that makes you feel like you've delivered value. You are whole, whether they buy or not. You hang up the phone, you go home at night, I feel good. I delivered value. Woohoo.
So I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but because again, you're blowing my mind here. Because again, when you're hardwired this way for years and years and years,
hey, literally, I appreciate you being open. By the way,
I know, of course, I like this discussion because I am very actively part of it. And so I'm battling you just because, man,
I love it.
It goes against everything I've ever been trained. And I'm sure the listeners are probably saying the same damn thing, right? They're like, this guy's nuts. So, and I'm just a little confused as to what the difference is. So if I'm providing clarity, aren't I explaining to clarify, okay, here's the problems you're telling me that you have. So from what I understand from you, you have X, Y, and Z, and these are the problems. So the best way.
Hold right there. Hold right there. You're then assuming what they're telling you is true, and you're acting off of what they're giving you, and you're rolling into your sales pitch. That's what happens a lot. The customer says, "Hey, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for insurance for coverage, this and this and this." And you're like, "Bing! Oh, I can help you with that." And then boom, you roll right into your education process. No, the customer doesn't know what they need.
So you need to ask them follow-up questions to really dig to find out what their real problems are. You can't take what they're telling you for granted. You have to go beneath the iceberg. You got to unpack what they're telling you and go way underneath the iceberg to figure out what the truth is. When he says to you, "Hey, we're looking for insurance," you're going to say, "Why? You don't have it? Or why are you looking?" Well, you tell me right now a scenario where you get on the phone with someone and someone says, "We need this." What do they tell you typically? So you get a couple of them. Don't have it at all right now. I actually, one of the biggest ones is I no longer have an employer that provides it. I'm self-employed now, so I have to go get my own insurance.
That's fine. So is it something urgent for you, or just you're happy to kind of give some time for a while, or
Well, I'm
what's
a
on
pretty
your
healthy
mind?
person, so I don't really need to have it right now. But
Oh, then maybe
it makes me
just
feel
hold
better
off
if I
for.
did.
Well, you don't have to have it then. I mean, if you're fairly healthy, it's not really a reason to get it right away.
Well, I want to make sure that there's something there in case something does happen. I mean, right? I mean, if I do get
That,
hurt, I
that,
don't want to be
that,
stuck with nothing.
yeah, that's what I'd be concerned about actually, because a lot of people come our way who's physically healthy. Then I've heard stories of people getting in trouble, and then the next day they're in trouble, and they wipes them out financially. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So is this something you're serious about?
Yeah. I mean,
all right, that's cool. Okay, no problem. Have you looked at anything else yet at all?
not
Have
yet.
you seen the other options?
I don't like Obamacare. I definitely don't want that, but I know that there's some other stuff out there, but I just started looking.
That's all right. Look, if you can wave a wand right now and describe exactly the ideal solution for you, what would you like to have ideally?
Here we go with the generic answers. Well, I mean, something that's affordable, obviously the cheapest thing.
When you say affordable, like, what do you mean by affordable? Like, how much do you think?
$300 a month.
That'd be good for you?
Yeah. I mean, I think.
Okay. What do you earn? What do you earn now? And that you're on your own.
$65,000 a year right now, but this is my first year in business and everything. So I expect it to go up, but we have to, make sure we're watching our expenses and everything else, trying to start the business.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No problem. So let's just out of role play for a second.
Okay.
Who had control there, me or you?
You are giving me the control because you're asking me the questions and allowing me to tell you exactly what it was I was looking for. And you are also letting me know it, without trying, or well, you're trying, but without making me feel like you're trying, that there are some things that I don't know. Like, nobody's ever asked me, why do you want insurance, right? Well,
here's the message I'm sending. The message I'm sending is, I'm not going to drop my hat and sell you something right now, whether you like it or not. I've got a process I'm going to take you through to make sure I diagnose your full situation so I can ethically provide you with the right answer. Because I'm not going to be a sales guy, give you something you may not need, and you're in trouble later. So let's put the ball in your court right now. I need to understand your full context, your full situation, the impact, the dynamics of your family. I need to know everything first before I can judge what's best for you. That's what doctors do. Doctors are unethically are not allowed to write any prescriptions unless they've thoroughly diagnosed the problem. Otherwise, they're going to go to jail. They'll be sued. You can imagine the guy's like, yeah, my shoulder hurts. Oh, I got some medicine for you right here. Yep, on the shelf. Here you go. Take that. You'll be fine tomorrow. Are you kidding me? They got to do an MRI, an X-ray. And here we are. Oh, looking for insurance. Great. Look what I got. Sales 101.
Very, very valid point.
So my whole and by the way, I'm working on a new book right now called The One Call Sale.
I was actually going to ask you about that because that's another phrase that's used a lot is the one call sale. And, because one of the rules in sales has always been never let them leave, right? Once you let them leave, it's hard to get them back. So if you got to sell them on that first call.
Well,
and I'm waiting for another bomb here, so go ahead and throw one.
I've invented a way to compress your sales cycle from multiple follow-ups to one phone call. Onboarding somebody on one call.
Okay.
No follow-ups, no chasing, no proposals, nothing. I'll tell you a quick story. I had a financial advisor who hired me a few weeks ago to help him with his business. And we got in a phone. I said, what's going on? He said, well, we lost 3 or 4 clients this week. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, we took them through our process and they slipped through all the way or the end. We chased them. I said, what's your process? Well, we have a 3-step process. Step 1 is we do a discovery call. Step 2 is we come to a deep dive into their qualifications and their whatever portfolio. And then step 3, we match up our services and hopefully get them from there. I said, so where are they falling off? He says, in between the steps. I said, why do you have 3 steps? That's the dumbest thing in the world. Why don't you just do the whole thing on one call? He's like, what? The whole industry is 3 calls. I said, well, how's that working for you? They've got a problem. They want it solved. They don't want to go through 3 calls. They don't want to fill out forms. They don't want to go through a process. All they want is someone they can trust. Why is it that we always get in our own way and add in all this stuff in the middle of it all, and all they want is someone they can trust? So I work with this guy, and now he's doing everything on one call. They're onboarding on one call. His conversion rate 90% now for those that are qualified. Because I said, if you're not doing 100% conversion for qualified buyers, you are the problem, not your product. If you're chasing people right now after the first call, after the second call, you're playing the number. Hey, how's it going? Just trying to follow up on our last meeting. Hey, any thoughts on a proposal? You are like in 1980s.
Well, that brings me to my next question, because a lot of what we do is follow up. And a lot of what I've trained my agents is follow up. You know, you don't want to let them fall through the cracks, because again, I'm just showing you where I'm at now. And
you are such a great guy for being so open. I'm really opening up.
I got no shame, man. Like, you know, because I want to get better. You know, I want to be better. I want to master my craft. And if I can just be honest and maybe look a little foolish for a few minutes to get there, I don't care. That's what it takes. But
hey, I got a bomb coming. I'm pulling the pin in about a minute. Okay.
All right, cool. I'm loving the bombs. So, you know, with the follow up, because let's say that you went through a bit of a process, but the person didn't have enough time. Like they literally, and let's just assume they're being honest with you about that. I have another appointment scheduled. I do want to answer all of your questions so we can get this done, but I've got to go. All right. They're off the phone. You do want to follow up with them because
no. There is no follow up ever.
So you never call that person back, even if they've asked you to?
Hold on a minute. Let me reverse. Let me fix the hole in your mind, the
blinders
in your head right now.
Okay.
Right. Well, if a guy says to you, "Hey, I would happy to have a chat, but I gotta get my kids. I gotta run."
Right.
You don't say, "Okay, no problem. I'll follow up with you." Ever.
Make an appointment.
What you say is, you say this. You say, "No problem at all. Would you be open to us scheduling another conversation so neither of us have to chase each other back and forth to get back in the chat again? Would you be open to that?"
Yes.
Boom. Every time. Yeah, sure. Scheduled. You only work on a scheduled relationship model. No more fall through the cracks ever in your whole business. No more follow-ups not allowed. In fact, I'm gonna ask your listeners now to take an oath with me, a verbal oath, not a legal one, a verbal one, to never again use this phrase I'm about to give you in your whole career as of post this call today, okay? I'm going to ask you and all your listeners to never again use the phrase follow-up ever again after today's call.
Okay.
What's the only industry that uses the word follow-up?
Sales.
Hi, I'm calling sales, and here you are trying to be heart-centered and authentic and not sales, but your languaging screams, "Hi, I'm here to move things forward. How's it going?" There's a few more classic ones too. You know what those are? I'm giving you a call to
check in on you.
Check in. Oh, I love that. There's always one more classic
touching base.
That's it. Look at you. You're out of the books, man. I know
I've been around. I've been around. So I'm going to throw another scenario in throw a little wrench in the spokes here.
Sure.
I do a lot of work through LinkedIn, and I already know kind of what you're going to say here because I've heard other people say it too. But I'm going to throw it out there anyway.
Go ahead.
So when I make connections on LinkedIn, the quickest way for me to get people to come into me and draw their attention is for them to ask for a quote. Yep. But to give a quote, I only need 2 pieces of information, actually 3, age, gender, and zip code, right? That's all it takes to do a quote. But I'm still guessing as to what type of policy they want, what they want included, what benefit levels, right? So I still have to kind of guess at something to provide that. Why are you doing quotes? Because and here's why I do that. I'm going to tell you why I do it, and I'm going to ask you for your opinion on how I can fix it. Because when people shop, initially, they're shopping on price, and you don't want them to. You want them to shop on value. But the simple fact is, if I'm doing it through text, it's not a phone call. I can't ask all the questions. They're not going to answer back and forth. LinkedIn, they might only check their LinkedIn once a week or something like that, right? So I have to grab that attention really, really quickly right now and try to get them to open up and talk. And just by asking that question at the end, hey, intro, here's what I do. Here's, what the services I have to offer. If you'd like a free quote, do just respond with your age and zip code. And then they can literally just put their age and zip code. It takes like a half a second to type that in. It didn't take any effort on their part. They send it to me. And then I can respond with a short little explanation in which I also ask for the appointment at the end of that message.
Is that working for you, that process?
It actually has worked. Now, it works very well unless you want to, talk about percentages. I mean, again, we go back to it's a numbers game thing, right? So if you throw out 100 messages, I might get 5 people that respond that way.
I'd recommend, my friend, that you get out of the quote business.
So how do I grab the attention of somebody without providing information? Because you said that, you don't want to throw out the value and educate. How do I grab that attention if I'm doing business in that manner?
Here's how you do it, but please don't ever offer quotes again.
Okay.
That's a race to the bottom, man. That's commodity city. That's like all they care about is price. They don't care about you. That's zero connection.
Mm-hmm.
Start with the opening phrase around the concept of you're a consultant and you help people or businesses identify if they're overpaying on their insurance. And you provide a complimentary assessment analysis to look at their situation to see how much they're overpaying and if there's a chance to save them money.
I like that a lot, but I'm going to be devil's advocate here. To me, that sounds like a lengthy process. If I had to respond to that as the potential customer.
Oh no, the next step is not a risk. Next step is the phone conversation.
So they just respond, I'd like to schedule, I'd like to talk with you. And again, I'm playing devil's advocate here and I'm just being very realistic. I just don't see as many people, because I have done this many different ways over the course of the last 5 or 6 years I've been doing this. And the one that's worked the best and has gotten the most response has been the quickest way, which is, is asking for that quote.
That's what I said. If the quote business is working for you, don't change it.
Yeah, it is working. And I get that it's not the right way because you do want to find out the needs. And that's what the phone call is for. But the quote gets me the phone call. And then we can adjust things.
If that gets you the call, then man, keep doing it.
Okay. Because like asking the questions, I love that because, and the way that you worded it, that, I can help businesses, see where if they're overpaying and things like that.
That's right.
To respond to that type of a message as that person who's responding, it just seems like that response would take a lot more effort than just typing in an age and a zip code. So am I going to get as many responses?
Why?
And
what's wrong with I'm interested?
What's that? If you are interested?
No, but what does it matter if they type in a zip code or type in the response to you, which is sure, let's have a chat.
I guess it'd be no difference.
See, what you're trying to do in your mind, you're trying to make it so push button easy.
Yes.
That they don't need you. You're just the middle. It's between you and a screen of a quote screen. Why are you part of the process?
And you're exactly right. I've tried to simplify that process because, let's face it, not too many people enjoy talking about health insurance. Or
they
insurance in general.
Enjoy shopping. Nobody likes shopping for health insurance. It's a nightmare.
So I tried to simplify that process and take all those.
They would
steps
love
out.
to know if they're overpaying and can save a shitload of money.
Yeah.
That they would love to do.
Would that not make them? I'm sorry. Would that not make them feel like? And again, I know I keep going back to it, but I'm being the pessimistic guy here. To me, and maybe this is because I'm in sales. To me, that sounds like a sales tactic. Like, I'm here. He's going to tell me that whatever number I give him, he's going to tell me he can beat that price. He's going to want to know how much I'm paying first, so he knows how much to
It's amazing how skeptical you are and how warped your mind is about the audience you're talking to. Wow.
Am I underestimating them?
Well, I think that you've been rejected a lot in your career, and your impression of the way you approach people is that they're thinking that you are out to get them. And their wall is, it's a war, it's a fight, and you're trying to get around the gate. You got to understand they're not prospects, they're human beings. They're people. If you communicate in a way that feels authentic with true heart-centered approach, you don't sound salesy, you don't look salesy, your words don't feel like a quote business comment, which is commoditized to the race to the bottom. If you write it in a way that has warmth in it, has respect in it, the way in which you write, I got a course called Trust-Based Writing, the way you language your words sends the message to them that you're not that stereotype. You've got to first change your own mindset to release yourself from this kind of frame that you're in right now of this fear that they're going to bug off.
I feel like that maybe I'm working so hard at not trying to sound salesy that I'm sounding salesy.
I think what needs to happen is you have to really kind of let go of this, the arduous chasing resistance model that you're in right now, that to you, that's the normal way your life is. You expect the fight. I can see that. You expect a battle. You're in this going in with armor on in advance, running for the bullets coming. I can see you're like, you got your arms up, your bullet, your shield.
Right.
You got your sword here. You're ready for a battle on an email. I can see that. That's where like, you know what? I'm not going to fight. Just do a quick quote. Do a quick quote. I'm not going to fight you. Because you have to enter the conversation in such a trustworthy way that they feel emotional on your words. So the languaging might be, hi, John. My name's Craig, and I was hoping you can help me out for a moment, ... I specialize in working with businesses to identify to what extent they're overpaying on their insurance costs. And you'd be surprised. Many of my clients that I've worked with have found out they're paying $1,000 more a month. Didn't have to do it because their original insurance agent did not properly plan, did not look at the actual variables involved. Things have changed in the last couple of years. And if you'd like, I'm happy to, no charge at all, by the way, no fee, to do an assessment of your costs on your business. If you'd be open to a quick 10-minute chat, there'd be zero pressure. There'll be no next steps at all. But I can at least do an assessment. And if I don't find anything, no problem at all. But if I find something, I'll let you do just how you want to do with it once I find it out.
My God, that was beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. And even if you're somebody who is the type of person to pick up the phone and just absolutely know, oh my God, it's a sales guy, you're still going to hear him out with that phrase that you just used. I would have listened to the entire thing all the way to the end and not hung up on you.
Because it was written with love, man. It was written with true caring. It wasn't a game. They weren't a prospect. It's not a pinball machine. They're a human being on the other side of the inbox. And we're so wired and so conditioned to just spray and pray with these techniques that everyone else is using. Especially LinkedIn, people know within 3 or 4 words if it's authentic or not. They delete the rest. And
yeah.
And what happens is we end up jumping in too early on with quick widgets like that, and people can tell this is just a mechanical conversation.
You know, I just looked down at the time, and I know we got time. We're out of time right now for today, and I know you've got other appointments you got to get to, so I don't want to keep you. I could talk about this for another couple hours, man. I absolutely could. So this is the part where I'll probably have to say, where can I get your book? Because I definitely have to read this thing. And I'm going to be mad at you halfway through it. I know I am, because I'm like, this guy is absolutely insane. But the points that you're making, the counterpoints, and I'm glad we could have an honest conversation because, you know, I'm not here on these shows to agree with everything my guests say. I'm here to listen to them, hear their opinions. I talk to people who, you know, are in social media marketing, and I have multiple guests on that talk about the same thing, but they all have a different view on it and how it works in different aspects. And you just completely blew my mind with your view on sales. And it's a view I've never heard before. And it would take, and you've got to hear this all the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but my God, for somebody to rewire themselves, especially if you've been in sales for, 20 years or something like that, to take what you've always been told and trained and experienced, you're literally saying, get rid of all of it and basically do a 180. You're backing up the other direction. So that is hard to swallow. but I want to learn more about it.
This takes courage.
Yeah, you're darn right it does. Yeah.
It's only for superstars who can transform like any elite performer. They're always evolving. And most of us still in sales are using 1980s, 1990s approaches to the new world that has changed in the last 12 months. And if you're hitting resistance right now and you're playing the numbers game and you're chasing people, it's because you haven't upgraded your mindset and you haven't upgraded your skills. And it'll be more clear the more painful it becomes over time. And I've been at this for 20 years, by the way. And the funny thing is like, not like an overnight success. I've been doing this for 20 years. And I'm working on a new book called The One Call Sale, but I've got one out right now called Unlock the Sales Game. You can get my website. And I also got a free intro course there you can get as well. Just go to www.unlockthegame.com. And we can kiss up again if you want, Craig, when I'm launching my book in a little while. But and we can do. I have fun. We can do more of this if you want. We can do a whole seminar. We want a whole day if you want. We can charge tickets for this. You know,
man, I would love that because I'd pay for a ticket. and maybe
I've got a TV show. I've got a TV show coming out too on the internet called The One Call Sale.
You are not pretty enough for TV. Come on.
I know, that's the problem. I know. I got to work on that.
In fact, I'm thinking about not even releasing this on YouTube. I am so playing with you, Ari. Thank you so much, man. And you said it was unlockthegame.com, right?
Yeah. And
the name of the book is Unlock the Sales Game.
Yeah. There's also a free intro course there. And for a short amount of time, I actually can take this down pretty soon, but I have my one call sale course on there.
Okay.
But that'll be removed once that book goes live. Sure. So it's kind of your last chance to get it. If not, you'll be paying a lot more money. And I'll be adding a certification program now for people who want to become one call sale coaches certified to teach this to other people to spread the word. I can't do it by myself anymore. It's just too much work.
That's awesome. Ari, thank you so much, man. This is one of the most exciting and combative sessions I've ever had. And I mean that with love, man, 100%. That was amazing. Thank you so much for taking time out of your morning this morning.
Thank you for being open, man, just for shifting.
Thank you for joining us this week. Go to our website at thebizreveal.com to catch all of our past episodes. We're available on all podcast apps, or you can watch any of our episodes on the Biz Reveal YouTube channel. I'm Craig Sawyer, and this is the Biz Reveal. Till next time.